So let me see, are you going to be a movie star? The one and only, the infamous Spray Jones installation movie star?
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to video number 6 in our fake news series where we're going to cover off the importance of installers. Now, fake news claims that have been out there, I see it in the comments section, I see other people's videos that they claim that the spray foam guys, you can have a perfect house and you bring your spray foam guys out and they ruin your life in just a couple of days or in 6 or 7 days. Well, that's a pretty ridiculous, ignorant statement in itself. I mean, I can ruin your life with wiring, fire, poured concrete that's wrong. I've seen houses in our area. We had a house that was totally framed wrong by the framers, and rather than deal with their mistake, they sent one of their lackeys out to burn the house down at 2 a.m. in the morning. And the only problem was it burned the house down that they framed wrong and 2 others that were sitting beside it being framed. So they caused a mass arsonist problem. So to claim that the spray foam guy can come in and wreck your life, I'd say get in line. You know, that lineup goes around the block, pick a number. You know, any trade, anybody can ruin your life with wrong installation. So that's not a credible thing. But let's just get into how important is the installer. Well, it's very. The chemical manufacturers have made a product that, for all intents and purposes, meets the current regulations and demands that the industry has placed within the building code and for environmental reasons and all the garb that goes with that. Fire retardants and not, blowing agents and not, water absorption, physical properties, all these standards that go into making up codes. That's on the installer, or on the manufacturer's part. The installer now has to ensure that they apply the product in the proper conditions and the proper methods to how the chemistry and the equipment has been designed to work. Now, this is not overly complicated. It has been simplified to the point where you get barrels of A and B. You have a proportioning machine. It's going to proportion equal parts by volume, 1-to-1 of A and B. It's going to heat the product up so it can be sprayed. It's going to pressurize the product up so it can be sprayed. It's going to send all that through heated pressurized lines to a spray gun. The spray gun, when you pull the trigger, is air operated. Air is going to actuate the turning on and the turning off, so that the chemicals meet at the head of the gun, they swirl, they make foam internally inside the gun, they start to make foam, but under their own pressure they're blown out of the gun so that when they hit the wall, hit the roof, hit the substrate, within a second or two, the liquid mass is rising up and frothing up and making foam, which is what you want in place. You're not paying for a truck box coating, you're paying for a cellular foam plastic. So it's the installer's responsibility to have the right drums, to have enough of the drums and keep the drums at the right temperature, that they're not too hot, they're not too cold, and they're not sitting out in the sun, or they're not sitting out in the rain. They're sitting in the trailer or the truck. And in the summertime, they're air conditioned to keep everything cool and to keep the interior space. Because, I mean, a trailer and a truck is going to be a sweat box in the summertime. So we have air conditioners. They're going to have the necessary amount of hose. You know, too short is no good and too long is no good. Too long, it creates problems where in wintertime it's hard to heat a lot of hose if you have it out in a lot of cold area. They're going to take care of their spray gun. They're going to take care of the equipment. They're going to realize if valves are leaking or hoses are leaking and all of this. Now, you might you might be saying, okay, that sounds pretty complex, Mike. It's not any more complex than having good driving skills and taking care of a vehicle. You've got tires, you've got oil, you've got coolant. Do you just get in and drive and drive and drive? If you do, you're going to be putting a motor in a car at some point, right? Drive the tires right off, drive the wheel bearings right off, right? So there's regular maintenance with your own personal vehicle, and there's regular maintenance with generators and air compressors and the spray foam equipment. Yes, this job is not for everybody, but many jobs aren't. I don't want to go climb cellular phone towers 1,200 feet up in the sky to change a light bulb. I'm not into that. So people have to have the right mindset. They have to have the right mental attitude, the right capabilities physically, mentally, personality-wise. And as a result, you have to vet your people. So the people that we get want to do the work that we're doing. Just like if you don't want to do mechanics work or you don't want to be around welding, you're probably not going to be a welder. And I mean, there's a really good example. I mean, welding is something that is as complex as spraying foam. You've got temperature settings, you've got different pieces of wire, equipment, shielding gas. Imagine that we take on the welding industry the way that we take on the spray foam industry, and we say, oh yeah, this weld cracked, it failed. Look at that. There's another reason why you should never use welding, ever. It's just a huge liability. I can't even believe that pipelines would weld. I can't believe a building would use welding as opposed to bolts or rivets or some sort of heat-fused casting at the foundry or something like that. So it is a profession that requires expertise. It requires training. And the best kind of training that I have found is hands-on training. Now, you can be learning from an idiot, but generally speaking, you want to be around people that have skills and have mastered those skills. You're looking for people of mastery. We used to call these people journeymen. There used to be a red seal ticket, and these are people that had a profession of skills, of book knowledge, and hands-on experience, and they're under the tutelage of somebody that has gone before them. Well, the spray foam industry is not far off. There used to be some pretty good courses and classes that you can go, but you're right, there's not a lot of mandatory things. Once you've gotten your initial ticket, there's nobody standing there saying you have to go to a third and a fourth and a fifth year of schooling. And maybe we should be doing that. What would you be taking in school? You need to know your equipment. You need to know the chemistry. You need to know how the equipment is supposed to operate, with how the manufacturers have designed things to work. And then you need to know building science and building design. And I think that's where a lot of people mess up. They can probably get the spray foam correct. They can make foam. They can make okay foam. Some people make lousy foam. But then even the person that can make really great, awesome, smooth-looking foam isn't going to satisfy the end use if they don't know where to place the foam, right? So what do you need to be insulating? We're not just painters here. We're not putting on a colorant, a foam colorant onto the wall, onto the roof, onto the foundation. We're actually trying to get a requisite amount of insulation to do its job. It needs to be adhered, needs to be thick enough, needs to be even and consistent enough that it's going to more or less do its job and not have a huge detrimental. I mean, 3-inch versus 2-inch will work, but if you're paying for 3-inch, you want to have 3-inch. You understand? So you want to have the correct amount in the correct areas, and you want to have a personal ability to verify your work as you're going along, much like the same way that you would if you were laying flooring or if you were laying tile or if you were even drywalling, right? There's hacks in every single line of work. We all know this. And spray foam's no different. And I am trying to dispel that there is some sort of boogeyman out there with spray foam, that well-meaning, well-trained people that have good equipment did everything right and it still didn't work. That's wrong. That is wrong. What I have found with most people is that they need to have an understanding of how the equipment works, and to have the courage to stop spraying when things and conditions are not correct, and to move at a pace that they can evaluate whether things are. And you're going to learn this from people that have gone before you. You're going to go from a veteran standpoint of environmental conditions: too hot, too cold, it's too damp. Rainstorm came through and got everything wet. The walls are wet. The foam's popping off. Generally, A rookie mistake is somebody that just doesn't know, doesn't have the experience, and therefore they don't know what they don't know. And it's a cliched saying, but it's very true. So you need to have somebody that can train you on what to do in various conditions, and then there has to be a commitment of excellence. And now you're talking about character of the individual, and that's going to come from the top down. So if you want to watch, if you've made it this far into the video, I've done a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. The 3 tier installers of spray foam. Tier 3 at the bottom, tier 2 in the middle, and tier 1. I'm going to put a link to that specific video in the description, and you just click on the description box, open it up, click on that hyperlink, and it'll take you right to the video. Because I'm not going to go into 15 or 20 minutes of describing the 3 tiers. And I go in great depth of how to recognize people that just don't have the knowledge from the management side down through their people. It's true that you could have a boss that doesn't know anything about spray foam and has hired a really good installer, and he's the one that's tying everything together. For Spray Jones, I convey what we're looking for as a team. We don't try to get ourselves into difficult situations where it's going to be very hard to give quality installs. So that means picking our time and our place to install. Picking that the building is built for foam, that the scaffolding is correct, that the walls are correct, the roof is correct, the other trades that are going to be in before and after us are correct. And then we try to, we have to match that up with following through with our actions. So therefore we install and then we verify. And the mindset of my people needs to be that they care about quality. It's not just, oh, well, whatever. I think the worst attitude you can probably have is good enough. Good enough, we did the best we could. Well, we're not paid to do the best we could. We're paid to hit a certain set of prescriptive requirements. So if you cannot achieve those prescriptive requirements, then you're going to have to change the conditions. Either stop, modify, or come on a totally different day. And that's where a lot of the costing comes in, where good quality professional people understand that it's going to take 4 or 5 days, and they priced it for 4 or 5 days. Just recently, I priced something where I told the individual that we're going to be a week per level on their building, and the pricing that they're getting is 1 week of pricing, and we've got 3 levels to go on. So you can't compare. Why is somebody giving a price to do 1 week worth of work when there's 3 more levels or 2 more levels to go, when somebody says, I'm going to be here for the better part of a month to get this done? And you got somebody saying, well, we've priced 7 days on site. Well, there's a problem. There's a problem with the spray foam quote right there. And no, the higher price is not the problem price. It's the low ball price. So installers are important. Yes, we wear PPE, we wear full face fresh air masks, we wear spray suits. I had one guy comment to me just this week. He said, well, that guy was on site and he sure was sweating. I kind of thought something was wrong, and I chuckled and I said, have you ever worn a Tyvek suit ever? You're required to sweat in them. I mean, they don't breathe, period. And there's a reason why. That is a 100% seal that we're trying to create, so that anything airborne is not coming in contact with the skin of the individual, because they're working with this 5 or 6 days a week. So they want to have 100% seal. So PPE is good. Are owner operators better than people that have staff? Not necessarily. Like, I've had really, really bad owner-operators that are finally out of business. They're drunkards, they're braggarts, they're womanizers, they have low moral and character standards, they don't show up on time, they don't do what they're saying. I watched one guy, owner-operator, show up where none of the plumbing was proper, and rather than get on the phone and tell the general contractor, he went and sprayed it. And then it was a failure. It was no good. They brought us out to fix it. And the first thing I said is he shouldn't have sprayed. The second he saw that should have been a full stop. So no, there's no guarantee that an owner-operator will do a good job. I mean, I've got crews, and they carry my attitude and my excellence and what I'm expecting out of them. They're carrying that in the field. So you should be able to inspire. You can train plumbers, you can train carpenters, you can train welders for excellence. Spray foam guys are no different. There's no reason why you can't, after a few years, have the grasp on how to run the equipment and how to do things building envelope wise. And this is why you want to get people that have 4, 5, 6 years of experience. They didn't just start, because when they start, they're going to be learning on your job. And that means they're going to encounter and make mistakes. Right now, if they're willing to stand behind and fix it, but there's certain mistakes you don't want to learn the first time. You want somebody there saying, "Don't do this. This is going to create a problem, and it would be detrimental to your career and your livelihood of all types." Right? It would look bad for you, bad for the company, bad for the industry. Um, Referrals, like, you want installers that when they come, they show up on site. They're not swearing and kicking things around. They don't have an attitude. They're presentable, personable. They answer questions. They have no problem engaging and talking with you. They can have command over their truck trailer. They're able to back in without taking down your tree, your fence, your wall, your neighbor's car. They don't swing the trailer doors open and smack your house, your building. They're not reckless with the equipment, dragging the hose over building materials and vinyl window frames and, wrecking things. They're considerate with what they're going to do, masking, staples, tape. They talk with you, they speak with you, they do a walkthrough with you, they ask questions, they do follow-ups, and then they install the product. Like, the overall buying experience is, we're here to place this product to solve your needs and insulate. And it requires some forethought, and it requires some care, and it requires good eyesight, because you want to stick your head into the tight areas. You want to see all the areas where you're going to have troubles, and how are you going to come up with solutions to those troubles. The bad guys never, ever figure out what they're doing, how they're doing it. They're just there to spray some foam, collect the money, and out the door. So installers are very important. We pay the people well. We reward them well. But honestly, you cannot financially teach somebody loyalty. Like, you can reward them, and you can create a place for them to be where they don't want to leave and they want to stay with you, but you cannot train into people um, good character skills. Like, showing up on time, being a man of your word, um, having excellence in your hands and in the skills that you do, having care, where you're not just going to say, well, whatever, nobody will see it anyhow, or it'll never catch up with me. Having that sort of care and excellence and carry through, that's something that's in the core of the individual. That has to do a lot with their upbringing. If somebody came to me and they are lazy and they are inept and I've had grown men they're not working for me anymore. They're out there and they're like, "Oh, good enough, good enough. We did the best we could." And I'm like, "You're not paid to do the best you could. You should have been on the phone instructing us that something wasn't right at the site, and we could have made changes. Instead, you went and tried to spray it, and it still didn't work out. And so we're still back where we should have been, which is modifying and changing it." So, yes, installers are important. They are the major linchpin that holds it all together, right? The two truck trailer go together, and they're held together with a pin. The pin is the installer, right? So good installation comes with good individuals, good people working for you. And then you just got good people stay where there's good management, right? And the bad people flourish where there is no good management, right? Because nobody's going to call them out. So 18 minutes is long enough. I think I'll step off here now. And if you've got any comments, questions, or concerns, put out a comment, and we'll catch up with you here on video number 7, which will be handling more of the conditions that we encounter and how does the chemistry work, and are we actually just doing a great big huge chemistry experiment, or do we have some science behind this? We'll do that in video 7. Talk to you then. Bye.